Remember what they were going to call this before they landed on Deep End? Because I do. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kat, and today we're talking about Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. She's an Insta-Buy author for me. I love her books. I love her writing. They're not all my favorites, but I will read whatever she writes. And today we have to talk about this book. For the review aspect of this video, I've broken it up in two parts. We're going to start off with a description, in case you don't know what you're getting into with Deep End. Then we're going to talk about the characters, the romance, and the spice. Then I'm going to share my spoiler-free thoughts. And then at the very end of the video, I will have a section that is going to be tagged for the spoilers. Basically just one spoiler. There's one thing that we have to talk about because my brain cannot handle it if we don't talk about this. So let's get into it. Actually, before we do, I am so jazzed, the definition of jazz right now, because my nails match the book. This was unplanned. And not only that, my nails match the character's nails. This just feels like the planets aligning to me, which did just happen, no? Like in real life. Just saying. So I'll have all the chapter tags so you can find them here or here. I don't really know where they live. They change for me. So you can skip what you want, watch what you want. The choice is yours. But first, we have to talk about what this book is about. The main character in this, Scarlett, she is a competitive diver for Stanford University. Like, what the heck? Go Scarlett. And her teammate, Penelope, has been dating the male main character in this, Lucas, for years. But their relationship has come to, I think, like a natural end. That's just what I would say. So they decide to uncouple. And through that uncoupling, a secret of Lucas's and Scarlett's is exposed in a very minor way, but it's out there in the world. Through that exposure, which is just like a whole thing in itself, they decide to start up a romantic arrangement. And I feel like that's all I'm going to say. I feel like that really paints a picture, sets the tone for this book, but the characters in this. We're going to start off with Scarlett and then we're going to move on to Lucas because I had such a soft spot for Scarlett. She had kind of been through it. She had a lot on her plate, a lot that she was moving through and healing from. And I felt like I don't know how she did that all plus school. Like she had a lot going on, but she had really human moments, really relatable reactions to things. And for that, I kind of loved her. Now, Lucas, I feel like some readers feel that Ali Hazelwood writes mainly about strong, broody, big men. And I'm not going to say that that's not true, but that's not all there is. That's just an added bonus. I love how these men show up for the female main characters, how they see their love interests so clearly. The support that they offer, and they take care of their love interest in such subtle and comforting ways, just like the best love language in my eyes. There are moments in every single one of her books where I'm like, marry that man. Marry him. There were a lot of moments in this book where I really got a good sense of his character, where he was also just so in tune to Scarlett's needs. And seeing her just so clearly, I just ate it up. And that kind of support, I mean, like, you can't put a price on that. So I really vibed with Lucas. I find that the Lucas appreciation that I'm seeing online is warranted. I feel like it's valid. And I'm right there with my flag being like, I'm Team Lucas. And now it just makes sense talking about the relationship to talk about the spice in this as well. I feel like this spice is a big topic of conversation specifically with this book. I don't know if it was marketed as being something and people are like, this is not delivering on that. I personally didn't see that, but I love, this is my truth. I love to not be online. It's like the most freeing thing for me. So I didn't see any of that. For me, what I gathered before this, that there was going to be like a dash of what you may have seen in 50 Shades of Grey. Reading this, my personal takeaways were that they are two university students that are very busy with their academics and they're swimming. They're always swimming. And when they're not, they're now exploring this new aspect of their relationship that again reminds me a little bit, a tad, a smidge of 50 Shades of Grey, because there's like a lot of crossover spiciness, if you know what I'm saying. I don't know if I can say the words on the internet. Like, is that how this works? I've never done this before. So I would say, based off of their age, based off of the fact that this is a new adult book, this is a good intro to that. So if you're expecting 50 Shades of Grey and that level of spice, or other books that I'm not even aware of that are kind of in the same tone of that book, that series, I would not say that you're going to get that with this. I think you're going to get an introduction to those spicy topics that are both addressed and slightly explored because they're busy. I feel like they're pretty busy. So I personally didn't find this to be like the spiciest book ever. I didn't even think it was her spiciest book. For some reason, I feel like Not in Love was. It's been a minute since I've read it though, and I've only read it the one time yet. But what I did love, and I feel like is a very important takeaway from this book, is the importance of mutual consent, trust, and connection while navigating these types of relationships, these types of spicy relationships. So I mean, if I had to give it a rating, like a spice rating, I don't know, maybe like a 2 out of 5. 2.5. Like, I didn't think it was all that spicy. I'm not like a spice connoisseur or anything, but like, I didn't think it was that spicy. But again, I feel like that comes down to how this book may have been marketed, which again, I don't really know. Some people don't read spice. Some people read a lot of spice. Some people, they dabble. It's just a very personal thing. And I think that's part of the reason that there's some conversations around that. But I personally liked it. I thought that this was a very healthy way to have these conversations, a healthy way to explore this type of relationship, and a healthy way to convey that in media. I feel like now is the best time to talk about my overall thoughts for this book. Here's the thing. I love a good long romance book. I feel like I'm in that maybe unpopular opinion boat where I like longer romance books because I feel like it gives you a lot of time to get to know the characters and build a romance in a really realistic way, which sometimes is a huge benefit for the reader. I did feel like there was a lot going on in this because you had the main characters and their own personal backstory, right? You had the competitive and academic aspects, as well as them exploring and navigating this new spicy arrangement. It had a fair amount of healing in this as well, friendships and drama. And I did feel like that kind of took away from the development that we could have gotten, or maybe more so the time that we could have gotten with the two main characters. And don't get me wrong, you do get a lot because this is like 450 pages, but maybe I'm just greedy and I'm like, I could always use more. So I did feel like there was a lot of cooks in the kitchen and there was a lot of complimentary dishes made. But for me, I think I personally would have loved maybe like 2 or 3 things on my plate instead of like 6. And now we have to talk about the one major spoiler of this book because it very much ties into my review of Deep End. So if you have not read this book, you need to stop here because I'm going to say one thing. One thing in particular, and that is Penelope. Penelope is the definition of the side-eye emoji. The entire time I was reading this book, I was getting like medium red-orange flags. Okay, so Penelope didn't want to be with Lucas anymore. That's fine. Okay, go girl, go do your thing. Penelope's involvement in both Lucas and Scarlett's lives, both as individuals, but them as a couple-ish, it passed the point of healthy for me into the lane of concern. That just kept happening. She was like a gopher that just kept popping up. And I was like, girl, let me live. So when I was reading this, I was like, Scarlett, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And how things ended between them, I think that Scarlett handled everything with a lot of grace and a lot of kindness. And I loved that for her. I think me at this point in my life, I don't think I could have continued a friendship with Penelope, especially at the end. Like what she did, even though she apologized, was super uncool. Like, how do you move past that? I do believe in healing and growing, but that aside, my own personal feelings on Penelope aside, her presence in this book definitely kind of blocked my investment in Lucas and Scarlett. Watched her throughout this book and I felt myself bracing for something. So even though I was like really enjoying like these moments and these dates and the things that we got with Lucas and Scarlett, I just didn't know when she was going to show up again. I didn't know when she was going to cause a little bit of havoc, a little bit of drama. And I personally don't feel like I needed that in this, but I understand why it's there. And I do feel like it is a pretty realistic character. Maybe not everyone has had an experience like this with a friend, or at least we've known someone who's had an experience with a friend or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a relationship or like a parent or wherever where they've crossed boundaries and you go like, should I continue this? Should I stay with this person? Like, when is it whack enough? I think overall I would probably give this like a 4 out of 5. It's not a new favorite for me. I've listed all my favorites in this video. I will do another full Ali Hazelwood ranking when her next 2 books come out, which this woman doesn't sleep. Like, she's keeping us well fed and I'm beyond appreciative. So once those books are rolled out, I'll probably do like a new ranking because even though for the reasons we talked about in the spoiler section, I devoured this in like 2 or 3 days. I couldn't put it down. I didn't want to put it down. I like this. I would recommend it. Just go in knowing that everyone has different spice meters and just appreciate the relationship and the building and the healing and the growing from the main characters. And if you've read this book, let me know your thoughts and feelings because I would love to know. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, friends.